And now, the Commander-in-Chief is back. Freedom Friday with Carl Gallups, the Oval Office of Gulf Coast Talk Radio.
All right, welcome back, Gulf Coast. Welcome back, America. Glad you're in the house. Mike Zullo is in the house, the former lead investigator of the Obama fraud case and fraud investigation, birth certificate fraud under Sheriff Joe Arpaio. Okay, so, Mike, here's the deal. So what we've said is that, you know, the people who knew all along that somehow, or people who've been listening to us as we've been reporting on it for years, that knew that somehow this birth certificate was absolutely a fabrication, a fraud, resulting in felonious criminal activity around it. They have been vindicated by all of your work, by the forensic documents, by the forensic evidence, by the forensic document examiners on 2 different continents using 2 different methods, not even knowing that each other was working on it, came up to the same conclusion. I mean, it's all courtroom ready stuff. This is the kind of stuff you put people in prison for. And you've got it. It's been presented. It's archived. People can see it on the internet. And tell people where it is. But in the midst of it, the bottom line is, part of the evidence you have is you have one of the source documents for building that template. Both of these examiners looked at that document. It's the Johanna NEE birth certificate out of Hawaii that you came in possession of. And they looked at that, and they looked at the elements, how they were moved over perfectly, mathematically, all the angles, everything, the measurements, everything matches up. The type splatters, the ink splatters, I mean, the typeset, the pressure points, everything adds up that it was taken right from her document, put on a template, and presented as Obama's. Johanna NEE. So now people have said, well, you know, where did you get the NEE document? That must have been a stroke of luck to come up with it. And then the second thing is, well, what if her document is a fraud and Obama's document is correct and her document was created off of his? What do you say to those 2 arguments?
Well, first of all, Carl, the NEE document and the Obama document have already been analyzed, and the conclusion is drawn that elements from one are on the other.
Right.
And it's elements from the NEE document are transferred to the Obama document.
Right.
There's other evidence that we have that I did not disclose in the press conference that solidify that fact.
Yes.
But going to the argument now, the attack is on the credibility and authenticity of the NEE document.
Right.
So it doesn't matter how you want to slice this, because if they're trying to say the NEE document was a fabrication of the Obama, we have evidence that just annihilates that argument.
Yes, you do.
That just didn't happen. But you would have to ask yourself a question. Why would some individual fabricate her own birth certificate in order to protect what? Why would you do it?
Well, yeah.
There's no reason to do it.
Yeah, and not only that, I thought about this as you were speaking. So we know for a fact that Obama's document was because of what you have already presented publicly and plus stuff that you hold privately that you know about and I know about that absolutely proves that it was taken from her document and placed on the template to make his document. And so people are saying, well, what if her document's fake? And the answer to that is, what difference does it make? What if it is fake? It doesn't matter. That doesn't take away the fakeness of his. I guess that makes his document double fake, right?
You know, the word fakeness, that just came to my mind as you were speaking. The fakeness of his is never going to go away.
Yeah.
And you have to also put into perspective the chain of events, the recorded statements in the media by officials in Hawaii who claimed to see that document residing in the bound volume with 500 others, only later to have the then governor, Abercrombie, newly elected, want to settle the matter and goes on a pursuit for the document, and they can't find it. Well, what did it do? Get up and walk out of a bound volume?
Right.
It was never there to begin with.
Right. That's it. And folks, please hear me. You have been vindicated. And for the Obama bots out there that are screaming at the radio now, all I can say to you is deal with it. Deal with it. I mean, prove it. Prove otherwise. In a court of law, not just get on the internet and say you don't like it or you found something that you don't think matches up. That doesn't prove anything. Mike Zullo, Sheriff Arpaio, 2 digital document experts, they have proven that the NEE document was used to create a template from the ground up. And they've also said, Mike, that the NEE document probably isn't the only document that was used. There probably were other documents used. But we know the NEE document, 10 or 12 elements were lifted from it and put over onto the template, right?
That's correct. And another point, Carl, the one thing you can take to the bank, we know for a fact that the NEE long-form birth certificate is, in fact, in possession of the Department of Health in Hawaii because Johanna NEE got it years before this issue ever came up.
Yeah.
So how easy is this? Just produce another long form out of Department of Health in Hawaii, and it will match exactly to the document we have, which is an authenticated document, and the same manifestations will appear on the Obama document. It's so simple to prove.
Right. Right, absolutely. And for those that are listening, say, well, what are you guys going to do about this? Well, Mike Zullo has done everything he promised he would do. Now, what you got to ask is, what's your congressman going to do about this? You see, that's the key. And I'm telling you, you're going to run into buzzsaws because the congressmen that were in office for 8 years, when all this was going on, and Arpaio and Zullo were screaming at Congress and the FBI and the Department of Justice and everybody else saying there is a massive fraud that has taken place on the part of the American people, those same congressmen are still in office. They are complicit in this cover-up. And I'm not saying every congressman covered it up, but by either taking no action or knowing that action should have been taken and then refused to, they're complicit. Do you agree with that, Mike Zullo? I hear the music.
I agree, and they're complicit in a lot of other things. Just look at what's being exposed and unfolding now.
Yeah.
What went on in that administration.
Yeah. Draining the swamp's a big deal, folks, and it may take a long time. The birth certificate, I think, and Mike Zullo thinks, is the foundation of it all, because that's where a guy used fake ID to command the American military, Congress, and our economy and our borders. That's why Sheriff Arpaio's going through what he's going through, because he was the only lawman with Mike Zullo that had the guts to look at it and to expose to the American people. Now it's been exposed. And my challenge to the OBOTs that are listening and all the Democrat operatives, the burden's on you, and you can't prove it otherwise. If you can, how about doing it? Let's have a trial. Yeah, let's have a hearing. We'll be back after this timeout. More of Mike Zullo.